Hey, I'm Austin. I'm a product designer at GitLab. Today I wanted to talk through how you get started with like a merge request if you wanted to change something about the GitLab interface. I realize that this can be somewhat of a challenge if you've never been in the development space. Like I would not call myself a software engineer in any regard. I think at best I can hack away at some CSS, and that's about as far as you might get with me. So as I've kind of learned some tips and tricks, I want to share about how I go about submitting small changes in GitLab. Maybe that'll be helpful for somebody else, or please, if you could help me be better at this process, let me know. So let's talk about like an example where, let's say currently our validation field uses a 14 pixel font, and I think this should be 12 pixels. How would I go about figuring out how to submit a merge request for that? Because in theory, like, oh, pretty small, change font to this size. Well, first thing I usually do is check our design system. So I look into pajamas, kind of inspect the element, figure out what's going on there, look through some of the classes. I can see that it's using like this specific group form class, but I want to get to a more specific example with the validation stuff. So I went into GitLab, I found an example where a form is being checked and like it's failed, so now it's getting some feedback that shows it. Actually, I'm going to refresh the page because it's cached from before. So open that up again. So right, if I do this, it fails, and currently this is using rem, which makes it a little bit more dynamic in terms of font sizing, keeping track of that. But it comes out to 14 pixels. So let's just say like, oh, I want to try and see what it looks like if it were smaller. I'd come in here, mess around, drop to 0.75, so it would go down to 12. Like, all right, so maybe I think this is the right move. I think this is a reasonable small change to propose. How do I go about doing that now that I've checked this out? One thing I would do is then try and find it in our code base. So I'm looking for like the class that it's using, like what's it inheriting. I can see it's using this invalid feedback and a combination of this GitLab field error. So locally I have the GitLab project or the GitLab app that I can build. I could technically go find this in the IDE, but the problem is I don't know where this file lives. So I tend to just open my Visual Studio editor and I'll search for this class, which pulls back nothing. So let's try and find it a little bit more. Okay, so there it is. I don't know why I didn't pull it back earlier, but I can see that it's using the same classes. It's using that that red color, and it's in 0.75, and so I'm realizing that the font sizing is actually established by this class. So realistically, I can't use this class. I can't just say like delete this and put 0.85. I probably got to use something else. So I'm going to try and see if I can find like another file that's using this. Okay, so I see here that there's a variation to use small, and I'm willing to bet that means that it's the 12 pixel size. I bet it goes just one tier down. So I think what I would do in this case is, in this form, I would change this to small, and I could make a change here and create a branch and push that up, but I'm honestly not good at that. So what I would then end up doing is checking out where this lives in the file path, and then I would cross-reference that into my IDE and then go try and find that thing. So we were looking at app, and assets, JavaScript, no, app, assets, style sheets, and then framework, and then form So it's going to be in here somewhere. So I'm just going to grab this text, copy it, gonna look for it in here, and there it is. So I would just add on small, then I would hit commit. I'm not going to do this because I don't actually want to submit this change right now, but then I would create a new branch, and then that's where I would start the discussion. I have a very small change that I'm suggesting. What's cool about this is that I could check out the component and see how it's behaving other places and see what kind of regressions it might cause. But that's how I would maybe initiate a conversation around like a small change. The thing is, I just had no idea when I first started, like how would I go about finding these things. Maybe somebody else has a similar situation. But I definitely needed to lean on like a previous developer's work to go look and find things like where are view components, because I don't know where some of these things live, but looking through some older merge requests, I can see where changes have been made, and that helps me find things faster. If you have any recommendations on like how to do this better, or like how to get to the point where I can make changes faster, please let me know. I'm probably super inefficient. I'm just a designer trying to make a few suggestions here and there. If it helped you, leave a like.